Morning music. So we got to play some music for him. Can you even hear that?
It's
What's that?
skipping in and out.
Uh, well, good morning, everyone that's on.
Good morning. Good morning.
Here's some wins. I know Dolan's win is he's a newly licensed agent.
Yay.
Woo!
Sorry, I'm here. I just had it muted. Good morning, guys. Great to be alive. Let's keep it going.
Truer statement than most, my friend.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I don't know. Well, it's kind of a win. I mean, it's my first listing presentation that I had booked for next Tuesday. Let's go.
That's a win.
that's a win.
Big W.
Big W. And it's a big price point.
2.4 million, baby. That's what's
I
up.
mean, go big or go home.
Fabby's all, that's my entry level. What are you talking about? Gracie's all 2.4 million. I pass on listings that are twice that much.
Oh, California.
Oh, California. Where a broom closet will cost you $12,000 a month.
I work all price points.
I have an old friend that works with my dad. My dad's a broker, and her and her husband own their own brokerage, and they sell out of Malibu all the time. This girl is selling $10 million properties all year long. It's insane. And the house they live in has Roman columns and overlooks the ocean. So
Jeez.
think about it like that. Yeah. California living.
I'd hate to have that life. How could you live so peasantly? I just don't get it. I don't get it. All right, other wins and celebrations. Come on now, let's hear your stories, see your faces.
I had a call last night. I was driving to dinner with the family. My wife says that I sound like Dan, but subconsciously I was remembering that conversation that Maggie was having, and subconsciously I was implementing everything that we had spoken about. And I didn't realize it until after the call. I'm like, oh, coaching really works. The morning meetings really work. And you just kind of start implementing it in your personal life. So I don't know. I'm proud of it.
You're welcome.
I agree.
Are we still going over wins?
Yeah, we're still going over wins. I don't know what happened with that last intertech. Someone says I agree, and then I heard barking or reverberation in the background.
I met somebody at a family reunion who was part of KW Talent, and she came actually to our Latino Summit and was talking about how they're going to start opening up different KW bilingual offices and all of these different types of things. And I was talking to another lady who I was like, hey, introduce me to her. And I think just like we were so busy, so I saw her at another party and I went up to her and I just introduced myself. And I started telling her about like my videos in Spanish. And I told her if there's any opportunity within Keller Williams for me to help you guys with audiobooks in Spanish or any videos, like I would love to be your guinea pig. And she actually said that they were looking for someone. And so she's going to contact me. So you might see me in an audiobook, Dan, in Espanol.
Hold on a second. Did you just say I might see you?
You might hear me in an audiobook.
All right. You know what? Amazing. That's amazing.
I wanted to,
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is 100% the definition of who luck.
Win.
If you're not getting out there and meeting people, girls, boys, you ain't gonna get it. Who luck. I love that. I'm excited for, Real Estate by Fabi in Española.
You don't know. They're making all kinds of books in Spanish and all of their trainings and
¿Cómo se dice real estate in español?
Fabi, I love that. We have an agent here that asked to do like Spanish versions of home tours for me,
Uh-huh.
and it's like it was such a hit. Like my home buyer or my seller was like, "Oh my gosh, it was such a great idea. You should do that like for everybody." I'm like, "That's what I'm trying to do, Karen. Here, hello."
The largest buying demographic by 2030. So
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
thanks.
Not in my neighborhood.
Oh God.
Or 50%. Spanish is one of the languages that you should definitely learn. If you're like me and you chose German in high school, that did you zero good. Or in German, dieser kein Null.
Didn't age well.
I've never had to speak German to another person ever.
Yeah.
Once.
I
Once in-
took German in high school.
I thought it'd be cool.
Same.
No,
Yeah.
Spanish has been a way better choice.
I homeschooled and I tried to teach my children German. We did Spanish a lot, so I wanted to do something different, German.
That makes sense. I think Spanish is one of the most common languages in the world
Adult me kicks myself now.
because you've got a lot of different dialects that can understand Spanish or get to a point of it.
Yeah.
So I love that idea. Is the Spanish audiobooks, dictation of Spanish documents, Spanish walkthroughs. God, that's incredible. Like imagine that, because that's a big part of your online demographic, isn't it? Like a lot of your YouTube videos are in Spanish.
And a
And-
big part of my referral network too.
It's huge. That's fantastic. I love that you plugged into that talent thing. Christina, I love that you're doing the walkthroughs here in Tucson. The closer to the border you get, the more concentrated the language set is.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We can't
Yeah.
all be dumb Americans like me and not be able to speak multiple languages. Like you're going to have someone on your team or in your world that can step in and help out. Here's a broker tip. I don't care if you're in my office or not. If you don't speak their native tongue, you are not protecting them at the highest level.
I was gonna say, if that's not natural for you, refer it out or partner with someone.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, you can chat GPT and Google Translate your way through a transaction, but is that the highest and best use of your skill sets and ability? And are you protecting the client?
No.
And they'll
No.
tell. They'll be able to tell.
100%. The worst thing I've ever seen is somebody negotiated an entire real estate transaction through the daughter who was 8 years old that spoke English and the parents didn't speak.
And that happens a lot.
And that
That's
is,
very common.
guys, there is no legal defense for that.
That's very common.
You in California, you got Fabi. In Arizona, you got a bunch of us. Us, not me. Not me.
Us.
Right.
Señor Dan.
Señor Dane. ¿Qué pasó? Cámate. Siéntate, por favor. Rápido. Afirma aquí, por favor.
That just throws me to see Dan with anything other than English coming out of his mouth.
Cuánto enganche. Guys, I worked in the finance department at a dealership, and I had to learn certain things in Spanish. Cuánto enganche, how much down, firma, sign here, iniciales, initial here, right? Iniciales, and rápido. Auf Wiedersehen. So, all right, Sam. I've been watching the stock market do all kinds of crazy stuff this last couple of days, from crypto to tech sectors, and the 10-year bond yield is starting to grow. What does that mean for our potential buyers and sellers here in the world of real estate around your financial services?
Yeah. Well, we just broke a pretty massive psychological barrier in when it comes to mortgage rates this week, which hasn't changed a whole lot yet, but just a caveat. So rates, I think the national average is like 5.98 right now. So we're the lowest since 2022, which is huge. I mean, when you think about, just the vernacular or the statement of saying rates are below 6% and rates are 6%, psychologically that makes a huge difference for buyers. Buyers still represent, like 44% of the overall market right now. So it's becoming more even, but it's still in sellers' favor. We haven't seen the historic, rush we would normally anticipate with rates continue to drop week over week. But again, we haven't really hit the spring market nationally yet. So we have a couple more days and we'll start to see that really start to turn around. I think the big thing is, all the stuff is tied together. So crypto, the stock market, all the stuff. And so when one goes up, the other one usually follows in some way or has some equal and opposite reaction to it. The overall thing to watch is the market and how people are responding to it. So I think buyer confidence started to come back, which is a huge thing. You can't have a lot of home sales without a lot of buyer confidence. So all really positive like pre-indicators of what should lead to, pretty busy late spring, summer, and fall. What are you guys seeing in your day-to-day lives, in your markets, with your clients, conversations? What do you see?
I am getting our affordability is like at the highest. And so buyers in San Diego are very cautious and I feel like hesitant. We're seeing a lot of cancellations too in our market. Um, so as I put two properties on the market, I feel like I have to be even more, it's even more important to cross qualify the buyers. Um, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That Fabi said something that's super important. There are like I would say the majority of the reasons for cancellations is because people don't do a good enough job professionally, like on our end of things, to make sure that when they're putting people under contract, they actually can follow through with it. So cross qualifying, checking for source of funds, all that stuff is super, super important.
Estamos bravado un month el tráfico en Campo Paredes.
This guy.
This guy.
All I heard was traffic.
Sam,
I understood.
when that happens, when a lender's like, oh yeah, you're pre-qualified for this, and then we get into it and something gets pushed back, what is happening there? Like, what are they not doing on the front end, I guess, to make that a little more solid?
Well, so gosh, that's a can of worms. A lot of things. I don't know. There's so many different ways that can go wrong. I think the bigger thing is we are seeing the mortgage industry is constantly changing as far as like guidelines, restrictions. It's a bunch of people with money that are all trying to mitigate risk, right? So there are standard guidelines and then there are overlays. So each individual lender is going to have their specific overlays, and that's all dependent on where their current portfolio is and they're trying to manage risk. So the reason I bring that up is this year we've seen the most overlay changes that at least I've seen in my career, where things are changing on a day-to-day basis as far as like how income is calculated. So averaging income, how overtime is looked at, family leave, all these different pieces. We saw like after COVID, how do we count this lapse in income when people were forced to stay home versus getting government stipend. There's all these different changes and things that we have to sort of figure out how to deal with on a qualification basis. This spring alone, with the major like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and HUD, we've seen like 46 different guideline changes when it comes to averaging income over, especially for variable income, which most people today are variable income. There's very few, like I don't know what the exact percentage is. I can probably look that up, but there are less salaried fixed income positions than there are variable income positions. And so that really plays a huge part in overall qualification and somebody's ability to repay. So typically what happens is the qualification versus the actual approval is whoever did the job up front or didn't do the job up front didn't pull the right averaging numbers. That's the biggest thing I see. The second one is unaccounted for debt. So for instance, on any government loan, FHA, USDA, VA, spousal debt will always be a factor. So even if let's say Dan buys a house by himself and his wife has a bunch of credit cards, if he's using any of those three government entities to back his loan, we will have to consider her debt. I've seen that more often than not, where a deal's come across my desk and like, hey, we had this client qualified by so and so, and now they're not. We're 2 days away from closing and they can't qualify. It's because that person didn't look at the full picture up front. So that is a huge one. And then the average income piece, it's always better to err on the side of caution. I think that what has happened when we've been in this market of general unaffordability on the lending side is very easy to try and squeeze and get the client approved for more. So I'm not sure how many times, I'm sure you guys have never done this, be it you get a pre-approval from your lender and they say, hey, they're pre-approved for fictitious numbers, $300,000. And you're like, oh gosh, you know what? If only we could get to like 350, there's like 4 houses they like. And so you ask the lender, hey, is there anything you can do to get them to 350? And they go back and they look at it and they're like, well, gosh, if I like move this and if I move that, yeah, we're at 350 now, right? Well, going in at 350 when they really should be qualified at 300 is probably going to cause issues down the road, because we've had to move something around to average it correctly to show that they qualify for 350. All it takes is the underwriter to go in and say, nope, actually, we're going to go with the most conservative approach. They only qualify for 300. Now you have a $50,000 delta to try and deal with. So those are the two big things: unaccounted for credit, and then income not averaged in a conservative way.
Sorry, Sam. And even if the husband is applying for himself, you're saying that later on, like the wife's credit was factored in?
So on any government loan, yes, spousal debt, it's only for, like, score doesn't matter, collections don't matter. It's only like revolving and installment debt we have to account for, because if you think about it, a husband and wife are generally going to share the same finances. So if she has a debt load, he is inadvertently responsible for a portion of that debt load. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Christine, did that answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, just because I had a client recently that we went in and we were making offers on. We made an offer. It was that one that she ended up like, they told her she qualified for down payment assistance and then she didn't. And then they tried to put her into another program and it went from like, you're not paying anything out of pocket to like 16,000 out of pocket. It was a pretty big difference. I mean, we made it happen. That's why it's like this client was such a freaking rock star. Because she'd worked like 3 years to be able to get to the point to even qualify. But yeah, it was just frustrating because it was like, how are we finding this out kind of at the 11th hour, and now we're scrambling and she's got to like make some stuff happen.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, unfortunately, like I've had it happen multiple times through my career where guidelines have literally changed mid-transaction, and it's dependent on a couple different factors whether or not you would use the updated guidelines, but there can be something as small as like, hey, when your automated underwriting was run, it was after this new guideline change, therefore you have to use the new guideline change when it comes to averaging their income. So little things like that can completely change a transaction during the process. And there's nothing, like, we are powerless to kind of fight that. We have to go with what regulation says, so we have a fundable loan. We don't. So I guess I'm speaking for like the entire industry, independent like mortgage bankers versus brokers, which is what I am. We don't get paid until that loan is bought or insured by whoever we're selling it to. So we're packaging a deal. We are deploying those funds. We're arranging it. We're setting it all up. But then we're selling it to either Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, USDA, VA. And if they won't purchase it or insure it, we don't get paid. So that's a tough piece to sort of deal with sometimes when a guideline changes mid-process. It's always good. Like I try and, with every one of my qualifications, this is not a sales pitch or anything like that, but I try and go into an approval with a few different options, because you never know if you're going to have to pivot and switch and have a backup plan or option B down the road. So going into it with only one plan, with only one option, is super risky, and it can put you know, both the seller and the buyer in a lot of jeopardy if your job is not done up front.
But yeah, because on top of that one, where we had to switch up our financing, that was the house that didn't appraise also. So it
Yeah,
was
it's
like
a perfect storm
every
right there.
layer of everything, yeah, on top of it.
What else are you guys seeing? We used to do this thing on this call a while back where you guys would bring all your tough deals or clients you couldn't figure out how to get them into a house or approved, and I'd try and answer it for you. Does anyone have any tough deals or clients?
I don't know about tough, but I was talking to Dan about this earlier in the week. I have a friend who is looking to purchase another multifamily. He currently lives, well, he has his property now with his family. He's VA, and he wants to have the mortgage be paid off by his brother and sister, I believe. He has a 5.12 interest rate actually on it. And so they're thinking about having them pay for the mortgage, but then he would be out of his VA eligibility because they're not VA. I was just wondering if you have any thoughts on that. Or
Yeah, so there's two ways to do that. So the VA changed a rule a few years back where they removed county limits. County limits basically means that they will insure up to a certain amount, and so they could try and keep your loan restricted to these limits. When they remove those, I mean, there's been this thing that kind of existed before that, but now it actually is really usable. But it's called remaining entitlement. So on every VA loan, they use a portion of their entitlement as their funding guarantee, or basically their easy way to understand is like their cover fee to get the loan. Depending on how much is left in the loan and depending on how much they're purchasing on the next house, they probably have remaining entitlement where he would still be able to use his VA loan. Even if the family members decide to assume the loan and take that over, he still might be able to purchase with using his remaining
we just have
entitlement.
to check his eligibility
Mhm.
with his
It's-
current loan. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but he would still lose that, whatever entitlement's held up in that first house until that loan is paid off or refinanced.
correct. So
Mhm.
he wouldn't get
Yeah.
he wouldn't get his full entitlement back until that's paid off, which is not the end of the world because even if he didn't have all the entitlement to purchase a new house, he could use a portion of the entitlement and pay a percentage down on the new house and still be able to get VA financing.
Correct. How does this work, Sam, though? If you let somebody assume the loan and then, and they don't substitute their eligibility for yours, if they foreclose, for example, that's just gone, right?
Yeah. Yep. So that would go against him for 7 years.
And he would get that back though after that time?
It's basically,
sure.
yeah, the same seasoning that exists on all the other ones. You basically have 7 years where, yeah, he loses that. It'll go up as a permanent mark on his credit that they say drops off after 7 years, but I've seen lasting impacts for that.
So same thing if a veteran themselves is on the house and they have to do like a short sale or something.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Anybody else have any tricky ones, any fun ones they want to talk about, go through all that stuff?
My guy ended up changing his mind, but I think it would have been a little bit of a tricky one. He wanted to do, what's it called? Kind of like the 203 for FHA, but for VA. VA
Rehab.
You know, yeah, like a VA rehab loan on a bank owned foreclosure house.
Okay.
But he ended up deciding on a different house. But I think that one would have been a complicated one.
They can be. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces up front. If it's set up correctly, they're really not that complicated. The way that a rehab loan works is essentially you have an inspector come out, a HUD inspector, and they will work with you to determine what you are going to rehab and what the proposed new value will be. And then so your loan amount is going to be based on that proposed new value. Once that's set up and you have your contractors in place, which they have to be certified with HUD, They basically get set up on a draw schedule. You fund the loan. Whoever the loan officer is can structure it to where all their payments are wrapped up as part of the loan costs, or they're paying interest only during the loan process. But then once that's done and it's closed, then they're really just on a draw schedule. And as long as those benchmarks are hit for the construction phases, it goes off pretty smoothly.
I got you. I think the more complicated part was like when I was reading about it, it seems like the repairs to get approved for that loan needed to be a little bit more serious. This house was really nice. It just had like things like all the carpet was messed up. So you need to replace carpet. The walls looked like there was splatter all over them. So clean that up, repaint that, stuff like that. And I didn't think that would be something that would be approved for a loan like that, you know? And also it's a bank owned foreclosure. And I was talking to another lender here, and they're like, more than likely the bank's not going to accept anything complicated. They just want to get money and get it sold.
Generally speaking, that's accurate. I would say that's the most challenging part of that transaction would be having to work with the trustee that's appointed on that for that property, because it can be kind of a black box sometimes when you're trying to negotiate or create terms or set terms when it's a bank-owned property. Keep in mind so any HUD home, or HUD loan, like FHA or VA or USDA, they're primarily looking for health and safety concerns. So those are the main things to look at: chipped paint, cracked windows, whether or not a water tank is strapped. All these things that would be health and safety concerns. Minor things like, hey, the countertops are Formica versus granite. Anything like that. That's not going to be a huge deal. Or carpet versus whatever, right?
Yeah. That's what I figured. Like I went down like a little rabbit hole of Google and ChatGPT and different websites, and it didn't seem like the carpet would be a qualification.
Yeah, carpet is really dependent. Like I've seen them call that out when there's like excessive staining, or like especially
it was excessive for sure.
Yeah, then it's subjective. That's the one challenging thing about HUD is although they have like preset guidelines, they do put a lot of power in the HUD inspector, or the appraiser's hands. So it's up to them to call out whether or not they deem it a health and safety issue or if it's benign. And that can be sometimes like the most frustrating thing to deal with on the lending side of things, because it's really someone's opinion. And once they've made that opinion, it's stuck with them for 6 months.
That makes sense. Yeah, it looks like the people got kicked out the house and they just purposely did things on that carpet that wasn't supposed to be done. And the walls.
Oh man, this is going to date me, but like after the crash of 2008, when we saw this like huge surge in foreclosures, there was a lot of friends of mine in the real estate side of things that all they did was manage listings for real estate or bank-owned real estate. And the types of things that I saw, I did a lot of open houses for these. The types of stuff I saw in those houses was crazy. Like people would go through and yank out all the copper piping and pull electrical wire out of the walls to sell the copper. Like it's the amount of damage people can do to a house sometimes is crazy. Yeah. Yep.
That's a wild job to have in high school, Sam. Wild job.
Yeah. I mean, it's not directly after 2008, but the market's still recovering in 2012 when I was,
There's like a lot going on back then. We picked up houses for $25,000 that were completely gutted. All the copper, all the everything, take the AC system off the house, sell the toilet. So it was bad.
I wish I was buying properties in 2008.
Instead of graduating high school.
I was 10, Dan. I was playing Call of Duty, okay?
I was playing in the playground at school.
Yeah. I was just getting into the business, so.
In 2008, I was just getting out of the military. Y'all suck.
Dang.
No way.
Yeah.
Fabby's all 2008. My birthday is in 2010.
95. I'm older than you think.
See, I thought Christina and Trey were the same age.
This is why we love you, Eric. This is why we love you.
Eric needs glasses.
I thought Dan, myself, and Sam were the oldest ones.
I'm
Christine,
older than Dan.
Eric's trying to get a referral here.
Oh, I'm done. I'm good. I'm done.
I think I'm older than actually Sam too. I don't know, maybe.
Wait, how old are you, Christina?
Oh,
You
it's
never
gonna be my
ended late.
birthday next week. I turn, let's see what
Oh.
day. I turned 42 on Wednesday.
No way.
So
Yes,
everyone
man.
here was born before 98? That's crazy.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
198. That's all you need to know. That means you lower your voice when you talk to her.
I would do it anyways. Christina's kind of scary.
Nonsense.
I got to spend a couple days with our family reunion. Sam, thank you for bringing on some stuff. Guys, bring these deals, bring these challenges. It's an opportunity for you to get Sam's brain to work. And next Thursday, we got a special phone call to go over, which I'm excited for. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, guys, have a fantastic weekend. Spanuel, thank you again for your awesomeness. If you don't have Sam's phone number, you are wrong. You need to have it. So it's in our WhatsApp chat. If you're not part of our WhatsApp chat, get that fixed as well.
Oh, I
Until then,
threw a list in there, Dan. I threw a Google Maps. That's a link to a saved list in Google Maps for anybody that's interested. It's every new build community in Tucson.
Thank
So-
you.
Yeah.
for the Sam, 206-853-4447. It's like a Mike Jones song.
I know.
My God.
My
Who?
God.
All right.
004.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this, Sam. Thank you again for always leaning
Absolutely.
into us and pouring of your knowledge. Guys, show up, be a part of it. This is how you pay is currency and referrals. So let's get them.